Hey guys, this is Wishko the Ferret. Thanks for hopping into the Ferret Den where we're keeping things warm and we're keeping things cozy. Today we have a reading for you Aries for May 1st to the 7th. So if you're Aries sun, moon, rising, or you just happen to intuitively feel called to this message, this reading could be for you for this week. And of course, if you feel called to listen to this message at any other time, it could be read as timeless as well. So specifically, let's just dive right on into it. The only thing we have is a full moon in Scorpio coming up May 5th or 6th for you. So if you are into astrology, in terms of like trying to figure out how those energies work with yours, check out your favorite astrologer and their forecast so you can figure out how to work with that, because full moons are always a doozy for me. So let's just jump right into the tarot. I don't really have a structure for this. We're just going to see what comes through. Any messages for this week? As always, Aries, drop into your heart space. Let the dust spiritually, physically, and emotionally settle around and within you so that you can determine which messages are for you and which messages are for others at this time. And while you do that, I'm going to say my prayer. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for casting your light of protection around me at this time. Thank you for being a guiding light in this reading today. Thank you, angels. Thank you, spirit team, for connecting me with the highest truth and love for our Aries collective. Thank you for allowing me to channel in a way that is uplifting and empowering for this group. So interesting that that came out right as a challenging card came out. So that's Spirit's message to me, actually saying to say it in a gentle way, because sometimes I do have a tendency to be very blunt. So this isn't me sugarcoating it. This is just me typically saying things. Like I tend to say things a lot more harshly than they need to be. So we'll just see how it flows when we get there. You have the Hierophant. And when I get the Hierophant for you, Aries, for whatever reason, the word doomsday popped into my mind. So I do feel like you're somebody who does like to break tradition, because the Hierophant is all about tradition. So somebody who, the Hierophant is the card of tradition and boundaries and basically having like a set structure for things. So when I hear doomsday, I feel like following structure for you is like the end of the world. So especially this week, I mean, even if you're like usually into routine, it's just for this week, it feels like, knock on wood. I just heard knock on wood, so I'm gonna follow through on that. Knock on wood. Perhaps there's a situation where you usually have routine, and you know, I don't actually know. For some of you, if you have routine, like it might be doomsday if you have to break away from that routine and to create a new one, or if something is offset, or if there's all of a sudden some type of chaos, you could be feeling a little rocked. I mean, it's like a Mercury retrograde type of period right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if you're watching this at the time that it uploads. So I wouldn't be surprised if something is just getting knocked off of your routine a little bit. But I really do feel for some of you, if you absolutely abhor structure and you're like, I can't stand it, there's no way. Perhaps structure, you're kind of being put in a situation where you're like confined to a space where you have to have structure, and you're like not feeling that at all, and you're like, absolutely not. Or in times when, or perhaps if this is the other side of the energy where it would be doomsday if you have this routine and all of a sudden you have to break it for whatever reason. So just be cautious of anything like that. I mean, I wouldn't really say be cautious. This is just kind of a heads up that something like that could happen. I do feel like there's a certain level of peace that has to be had when you're dealing with something like that. So regardless of whether your routine is being shaken, whether your routine is being shaken up, or whether your routine is, whether you can't stand routine and you have to follow a routine, either way, the change that's happening, I'm hearing it's best to serve you. Whatever it is, you're being put in a position where you have to learn something different. The Page of Pentacles here is popping up to say that, hey, there's something new to be learned from this situation. The Page of Pentacles is all about learning, studying a new skill. It could be discovering a new talent, but typically it could also be, typically it's for a new skill, a new talent, but this could also be in terms of learning a new life lesson. So I do feel like this is something that you have been putting a lot of work into. So for the Ten of Wands, there is, I just heard you are dangerously close to fatigue. So be careful that you're not overworking yourself this week. There could be a natural desire or a tendency to want to overwork, because oftentimes when we overwork ourselves, we don't recognize that we are. Typically, we don't have to be pushed to that brink. We do feel like we're being pushed, but we don't. It's not somebody. This isn't somebody who's sitting on the couch arguing with themselves whether they should get up and actually do something or not. This is somebody who has been on the go, or is. Perhaps this is something that's recently sprouted for you too, this overwork, because I'm going to tell you right now, as a Pisces moon and rising, I swing like towards like sitting on my couch for long periods of time and then overworking myself to fatigue. Some of us really struggle with that type of balance. So if you're one of those people, this could be the end of the, the end of the spectrum where you are overworking yourself and exhausting yourself. This does feel like something new for you. So whatever this overwork is, you have the 5 of Wands to clarify it from the Dragon Tarot. So, or actually I think it's called the Tarot of Dragons. Sorry, I want to get that name right, by Shawn, MacKenzie. Beautiful deck, by the way, but this is about resolving inner conflict. So especially with the 5 of Wands clarifying that 10 of Wands, there's just a lot of internal barking back and forth. So perhaps it's like some type of battle of the mind, because you also have the Devil here. The Devil is telling me that there are some energies about that don't really serve your highest good. I do feel like these are old patterns. I just heard that there's some type of obsession with something that you want, or there was an obsession for something. No, I just heard the words like you're degrading yourself. So perhaps it's with some type of mentality or some type of thinking. So if you're in the pursuit of some sort of obsession, there could be some unhealthy thinking in regards to that. So I don't know. Let me see, like, what's our healing card for this? What's our healing card? Okay, never mind. I thought it was the Devil again, and then I was like, like, yes. So actually, it is also another one of your, the typical scary cards. We have Death here, actually, as a clarifier. So I do feel like this is quite literally saying death to that devil energy. Death to that energy that comes back and degrades you. And it's almost like a, Spirit wants you to know that you can't be right all the time. I'm sensing a little bit of perfectionist energy. You can't be right and you can't be perfect all the time. You can't always have things the exact way that you expect them to, because your expectations are way too high for yourself. This could be the energy of others, but I feel like for yourself in particular, there's just, because of your like constant degrading yourself, you just have really high expectations of yourself, and you got to bring that down, Aries. The death promises a rebirth. But there is a restructuring of the mind that has to be done during this rebirth. I do feel like it's something that you have to work through and something that's going to happen soon, but recognize first that your mind is trying to degrade yourself. And like, ask, is it, I would ask, just try to practice some form of metacognition where you're being aware of the types of thoughts going through your mind. So oftentimes what I find is when we feel bad, for whatever reason, I'm thinking about one student that I used to teach. And, when kids are young, they develop certain habits. And sometimes they resort to physical tendencies, kind of like compulsions, like when they feel bad. This isn't for everybody, but maybe for a select few of you. I'm trying to channel like something specific here. Like, it's almost like if somebody feels bad, they have that feeling of being, like, feeling bad. They have the feeling of feeling bad. They have that feeling of ick, like shame or a disgust with the self. They just feel bad if they feel reprimanded or if they're put in a situation where the world seems to be coming at them. So as a response, they start physically, I've seen some kids like physically like knock their heads and, beat themselves up or bite their skin or their clothes. And once that tick starts, it's almost like a habit with them that you kind of need to work with them to train out of. And I feel like with the amount of patience that you would need to teach a child to work their way out of that habit, you have to treat yourself as gently as well and as patiently, because that is a habit that is almost like that physical manifestation is the exact thing. I mean, it could be a physical thing that you are doing to yourself, but it is also like I'm getting like a mental, it's like you have mental talk that sidelines or that parallels the feeling. So if a bad feeling comes up from within, it's not necessarily, how do I want to describe this? It's almost like you assign, like for example, this student has associated, these students, because I've had a few of them do this, but they've associated the bad feeling, and all of a sudden they made the connection with the hitting, okay, like the hitting or the biting or whatever. So they made that connection, and now every time they feel bad, that's what they do. Now, the negative feeling that's coming up from within you, it's almost like you've associated that negative feeling with I'm not good enough, or I'm never going to be as great as this other person, or whatever the thought is. You've associated those two feelings as the same thing, so that every time you feel bad, those thoughts come up. It's that neural connection that has kind of solidified. So now you have to kind of reprogram your brain to where those aren't the associations. Because when you just feel bad, the actual meaning of that is I feel bad because I either like I did something, like I made a mistake, or I didn't do things the way that I thought I would. And as a consequence, I feel bad because I feel like I should do, not even because, like Spirit's like, stop right there. That's where you should stop. Just going so far as to just identify the emotion, clean up the rest of it, because the rest of that is other associations that you've tagged onto that as like a reasoning for your bad feeling, when it's not necessarily truth. It's not truth, because these are things that are just, you're trying to beat yourself down. So this type of reprogramming is stuff that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some patience. Like I said, treat yourself as if you were teaching a child, because that's essentially what you are doing. Some of you might have had this programming in your mind since childhood. So Aries, you're going to have to double back, be aware of what you are thinking, be aware of your feeling, and then the first sentences that usually pop up into our minds when we feel a certain way. So typically when I feel like in a very happy space, certain words are more accessible to me. And this is like, again, one of those things, how the brain works, where I think of the word love more often. I think of how grateful I am about some things. Like when I feel in very high vibrational state, when I'm like, oh, I want to go out in nature, and oh, I want to read books, and I feel so grateful. I feel so amazed. Things are so wonderful. Like there are certain words that I just heard, caption this. So insert whatever good feeling here, insert whatever good words here. Those words are now more accessible because the feelings are coming up. Same thing for negative emotions. Certain words are more accessible whenever we are feeling negative emotions. And if you've programmed your mind to have those words be incredibly harsh, and those words hold judgment towards yourself that make you actually feel worse than you do, try to reprogram them to make them sound more forgiving and understanding towards yourself, rather than saying like, I'm never going to be good enough. Say, I'm going to get better one step at a time. And have it be more encouraging than self-defeating and using absolute words like never and always and things like that, because we want to veer away from those things. I have two other clarifying cards here just for the general energy for this week. We have 10 of Cups and Knight of Wands. So I do feel like there is fulfillment to be had this week. There is so much fulfillment. 10 of Wands, or I'm sorry, did I say 10 of Wands? I apologize. 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is a very fulfilling card. These are a group of dragons, very happy and dancing and looking up at the northern lights, up at these 10 cups. This is a treasure. So I'm hearing that there are treasures to uncover this week. There are treasures to be had. So definitely keep an eye out for those blessings. Make sure that you are assigning those feelings to these blessings, and you're like, this is what I feel grateful for. There are those little sense of achievement or those feelings of fulfillment, even if they are in the smallest of moments. It could be one big thing coming. It could be, I just feel like it's like in the smallest of wins. Take whatever wins this week. Take them and put so much love and gratitude to them, because then you start to notice more, and then the universe is also able to give you more when you recognize them. You also have the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands is somebody who is clearly following their passion. I just heard Spirit say clearly, like something that's so clearly lights the fire within and spreads through every bone in your body? Like, what excites you beyond your wildest dreams? Even if it sounds silly, even if it's something that sounds very juvenile, like if you're gonna like hop, skip, and jump over to the library and wander through like the teen book section, even though you're like, you could be like 40 or 50 years old and you're like, I feel too old for this book. But those might be the types of books that bring you joy because of like, for whatever reason. I enjoy teen novels. I enjoy young adult novels. And you know what? There's no shame in me being a 30-year-old who's wandering through the teen book section because I missed out on childhood favorites like Artemis Fowl and The Hunger Games and things like that. I mean, I read other stuff too, but like things like or fan fiction too. So these are like reading examples, but you know what I mean, things that might seem a little childlike to you. So like maybe going out and getting a Lisa Frank coloring book, you know, because you feel like coloring. Maybe you don't want to do like, ooh, I just heard, when you dive into your nostalgic creative pursuits, you are harvesting your intuition. So interestingly enough, when you work with creativity and you work with the imagination, that actually aligns with your intuition, because those dabble in the same energies. So when you work in your imagination, you can more easily access your intuition. So what I typically do, the example that I like to use for people is when I'm stuck with the tarot and I have all the cards out in front of me, I even roll the dice and I'm like, what the heck is going on? I close my eyes and I imagine how the cards are interacting with one another and what they're doing. And usually the cards move on their own in my mind. Some would call that imagination, yes. But other times that usually is what leads to like the insights. That's like the proper way. Like you'd be so surprised how much of imagination is, you know, and I mean, so many spiritualists might actually disagree with me on this. So this is where I will actually draw the line here for a lot of people. I will draw the line here and say that this is my own insights, like in the way that I have worked with spirit. Because I am a natural creative, I have found that my creativity and my intuition are so very closely intertwined that typically the things that I imagine are typically things that do come to fruition. But some spiritualists will say absolutely not, like your imagination and your psychic intuition are two different things. So this is where I will actively say draw the line and like go with what resonates with you. But what has worked for me is oftentimes I found that when I write things in a novel or when I start writing things, I found that they do actually happen several years later. So there is a link between imagination and psychic abilities, from my understanding, just because we are accessing a flow state, and that same flow state or a similar flow state is how the divine feeds us information. So that's just my my view of it anyway. But the Knight of Wands is following your passion, entering that flow state, and quite literally becoming closer to spirit in that way. So you'll have many opportunities to do that. Whatever inspires you for this cycle, spirit is urging you to follow those things. Okay, Aries. And last three cards, I only wanted one card, and then spirit gave me like three more. So I'm going to read them all as a message together. You have the Eight of Cups, you have the Four of Pentacles, and you have the Two of Wands. So you're definitely, dang, I'm getting the chills because this quite literally feels like you are leaving something, and you are like, if it's potential, like this, I'm just going to use the example as in a job. You could be leaving a job, withholding your finances for a while, and then planning your future with the Two of Wands. That's just what I feel like. With the Eight of Cups, it could be you don't have to be leaving a job, but you're leaving something, and then it's like walking away from something. You're probably walking away from something, and you might have to enter a period of feeling restricted for a while, even if it's something like you're walking away from a relationship. The Four of Pentacles doesn't have to be just withholding your finances. This could also be just keeping your resources close. So this could actually be just keeping your attention, your activity very close to the self when once upon a time you shared it with somebody else. But the Two of Wands is mapping out your future. So whatever you walked away from, you're keeping your resources very close. And then the Two of Wands popping up here signals that you are planning your future, trying to figure out what you want next. What's like the next, I just heard, what's the next territory you're going to lay claim to. So, whatever this is, I mean, this could be a job. This could be a job where you're like, you know, I definitely don't feel like you should claim territory on a person, but because that's not something you should do, and that's not something you can do. Everybody has their own, you know, control. But it does feel like, this does feel like somebody who feels very like making a choice to empoweringly, that's not a word, and like to walk away from their work or walk away from an old job or walk away from an old project in an empowering way. needing to fend for themselves a little bit for a while, or needing to withhold their resources or restrict them a little bit so they can continue on, so they can keep building their future and finding a better path for them. So where are you going to stake your claim next? I don't know. I think it's pretty dope. So let's pull some oracle cards for you and see what else we got. We have, what is this one? I always forget the name of this deck. I use it all the time. It's Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette, Baron-Reid. And we'll see, what else do we have for our Aries collective? Oh, higher power. What did I just say? That you are channeling through your like divine inspirations and through making these choices of resurrection and like through choosing to walk away from things. You are aligning closer with your highest path, and you are having a strong link with Spirit. So typically in the times when we need help the most, Spirit answers that call. So I definitely feel like, I definitely, like, this is the card of connecting with your higher self, with your higher power. So expect to be hearing from, there it goes. Expect to be hearing from, like, I don't know, maybe dreams from loved ones on the other side. Expect to be hearing from your guides, your angels, your ancestors, whoever you connect with. Expect to be hearing from them or seeing physical signs, like manifestations of their presence and of their guidance, because they will help show you the way. Treasure Island also says that you are, you're encouraged to find the path of light, is what Spirit says. You're encouraged to find whatever path lights you up the most, because at the end of that tunnel, there will be treasure. There's treasure to be found. So I feel like within this week, you're going to be pondering that a little bit more. Not only will you be walking away and entering this resurrection or this transformational period, but you're going to be actively pursuing something that's going to be such a path of light for you. So I don't know. I'm very excited to see where that goes, Aries. Oh, and you also have beauty. Dare to be tender and strongly vulnerable. And I feel like this is you seeing the beauty around you in the world when perhaps you have found beauty to be absent. So no, let me reword that. In places where you have found beauty to be absent, you will see more beauty this week. And I'm hearing for some of you, you could be encountering a new crush or have a new crush. I don't even know if I would, yeah, I don't know. That was one, it was a tiny little whisper, so that's only for some of you. But anywho, that's also just like the beauty of, I'm seeing like an odd flower that's like kind of twisting a little bit. So even though something may be odd, may be viewed as odd, or may not be viewed as typical, it is something that still touches your soul and is very beautiful to you. So in things that people wouldn't normally find beautiful, you find to be beautiful. And you're recognizing those things this week. And that's actually increasing your power, like your feeling of abundance and your power and your connection with your higher spirit too. So we also have present. Journey into the garden to escape the two eternities, the past and the future. So another oracle card, for whatever reason, is coming up in my mind. And I don't have the oracle deck in front of me, but it's the Ghostlands card from the Enchanted Map deck. There is a lot of energy here accumulating from the past. I don't know why there's like past energy coming up, but it feels like a mountain. It feels like you've already surpassed that mountain, or overcome that mountain. But I do feel like it likes to rear its ugly head to remind you of certain things. And Spirit is saying that there is so much vision and beauty and love to be had in the future, and like that you won't even have to worry about the past, but the future is not even here yet. So there is so much actually to be involved with in the present that is going to give you a lot of joy. But it's really like, how do I want to say? I say that oftentimes the past leaves us feeling either very nostalgic and wistful, or the past makes us feel icky and makes us want to beat ourselves up. The future either gives us a lot of anxiety, or it gives us this longing hope that could turn into an obsession where we are constantly single-mindedly focused on this future. Neither reality, past or future, gives us that fully anchored feeling of trust, fulfillment, and peace. Not like the present does. And when we are focused right here on the now and we are truly living and engaging with the world around us with our mind fully here, not even with the conception of what happened in the past or what will happen in the future, when we are so focused on what we're doing now, that is going to be where you achieve true happiness and joy, is living right now. I'm sure you've probably heard that many times because I feel some eye rolling. But perhaps the way that that was worded helped, because like you can hear the same thing 5 million times and still not have it click. So if it didn't click with me, I do feel like Spirit is going to send you a sign at some point, either through like a social media scroll or perhaps like on a walk, like wherever you're walking to in your life, there's some type of like on a walk somewhere. You could hear a conversation, or you could see a billboard sign or a poster or whatever. There's some type of sign that Spirit is going to send you that's going to help make that click. So if you're not feeling it from me, then expect it from somewhere else, because Spirit's going to give this message to you this week one way or another to help you kind of understand. You can receive a message but still not quite feel it set into your intuition or in your bones yet. Okay, so that's totally okay. Sometimes it takes a few raps on the door in order for us to answer, and that's fine. Last but not least, Aries, I'm going to roll the angel dice for you, and I'm pulling from Angel Numbers by Kyle Gray, as always. We have 75. In order for your intentions to manifest, you must be prepared to embrace the energy of change. New beginnings are imminent. One more time. In order for your intentions to manifest, you must be prepared to embrace the energy of change. New beginnings are imminent. I'm going to let that be a standalone message, Aries. With that, thank you so much to you, your spirit energies, and my spirit energies. Thank you, Archangel Michael, for connecting me to this energy and being my guiding light. If this resonated with you in any way, Aries, go ahead and like and subscribe and all the things. Leave a comment. Let me know how it resonated with you. I have a Patreon coming up soon, so you don't want to miss updates on that. You don't want to miss updates on like the other stuff that I could be posting. I post weeklies. I post pick a cards occasionally. I will post collective sometimes too, and then I'm looking to organize everything in these next few days on my YouTube channel so that everything can be, so you can like, if you wanted to go through and binge all the signs, all of like your sign, you're more than welcome to. I will work on getting that hosted in the community tab, not the community tab, the playlist tab. That's it. Make playlists for y'all. So I love you, Aries, and I will see you next time. Have the best week. Bye.